Hello everyone and welcome to Medieval Engineer and to another video made with Medieval Engineer and all the possibility of this fabulous sandbox to explore history of castles and Middle Ages and wars and all this period of time. And today we're still around, like say, the 12th 13th century, but this time we are not presenting you a reproduction of an existing castle, but more like some defensive system that were really important for castle during siege. And we talk about hoardings, machicolation, and brattices. Last time, during our video about Get Along, we were kind of ending up frustrated not to be able to make hoardings and decent brattices and so we thought like we should spend an additional while to have our revenge and show and see how Medieval Engineer can really help us to make such blocks and to bring some more realism in on our castle siege, and to talk about all these mechanisms that are hoardings, machicolation, and brattices for a few minutes, as they were pretty important to defend castle at this period of time we are referring to, and it's the 12th, 11th, and 13th century. So hoardings are technically made of wood, and they are like most of the time like on top of the wall or on top of towers, and they are being used to shoot attackers when they come from far away, and you have like windows and stuff like this, so you can stay under cover. But as well, they have like vertical holes, so that attackers come closer and want to attack the wall and break the wall. Then you have like a decent overture to shoot them. Remember that if you are like on a corbel or a cradle, you have to bend over almost half of your bodies to see what's going on over there, and this way you take risk to fall down, but not only, you are also no longer under cover. So all things were really often being built on cradles. This time I didn't put cradles on this one. I just set the hoardings directly on the top of the tower, and building were having actually some hole to be able to build this hoarding and set these big pieces of wood that sustain the whole installation. And very often the roof was actually built directly on hoardings. So the first writing about hoardings are for a long time ago, as we find some tracks and some mention about this different system on Jules Caesar comments about War of Gauls. So they were being known during the Roman time, and they were being used to protect towers and walls and fortification already. They've been gradually replaced during the 1314 by machicolation that are currently whole but in corbels on top of walls. And then you have the crenels and the melon and all that, and the machicolation will allow you to do exactly the same, to throw out and launch things or do some lethal shoot on attackers when they come very close to your wall. But being in stone, the machicolation resists much more to fire, right? That was one of the weak points of hoardings, though they were using moist leather and water and any kind of things to make them more resistant to fire. At a certain point, you know, they were taking fire, so machicolation in stone avoid that. And as well, they are stronger, so when a catapult throw a big stone on hoarding, sometime like a big part of it go down, and all the men standing on top of it go down as well. So machicolation will avoid this risk. Until the 14th, though, many castles were still having their hoardings, as they were like used to sustain the roof, as I was saying earlier. So they didn't like put them out, right? You have like various ways to use hoardings. I mean, sometimes they were like being set during wartime only, and then take away during time of peace, but not always. Like sometimes they stays on top of towers, Some dungeons still have hoardings in France, but you know, wood hardly resist like 600 years, and you know, we are like now in the 21st century, so imagine like 800 years after, if they have not been like repaired and restored, like most of the time they've been disappearing, but some buildings still feature hoardings in France actually. Such installation was not only standing on top of castle wall or castle towers, but in some area you also find them on churches, farms, buildings in normal towns, and so I mean any area with tension and complicated frontiers and permanent wars would have his own hoarding or machicolation as well, to protect their building or from any potential attackers. So what were they launching from hoardings? Actually, they were using it pretty well and much to shoot with crossbow and do some little shooting, like using them. Boiled water was not so being used as during siege. You know, water is a precious good. You certainly don't want to waste. So it's the same a bit for boiling oil. You know, we've been seeing movies with that. Boiling oil is kind of precious and expensive at this period of time, so it's pretty rare to be to be used for that, right? From hoardings, most of the time, unless the fact they were shooting with their crossbow and so, they were using as well animal fat, human dejection, disgusting, any type of disgusting thing you may have in mind, with the idea that this could spread like epidemia or viruses within the enemy ranks, right? So it's about what they were launching, burning pitch as well, you know, this mix of tar and make it very sticky and easy to take fire. So they were also using that, sulfur sometime, and stones and stuff like this. Here are our second type of blocks, which are like actually brattices. So brattices is technically a sort of machicolation, except it's not being set on top of a wall, but on directly on a wall to protect a weak point or even a door. And then they are exactly coming with the same functionality, which is like a vertical hole, so defenders can launch something. So if an attacker will be here, like trying to break the door, then you have like ways here to throw on him like something heavy or hot using gravity. Sometimes they are really small, like brattices. They can be like even half of this depth, you know, and just like with a little windows inside, so you can pass two hands and launch something. They many times have arrow slits, so to have the double feature to protect from far away and when attacker get closer. Most of the time they have a roof, little roofs, can be tiling or wood or crenel as well. That's about like probably the more often this type of brattice are really like common. And then I made another one here, like exploring the sandbox again with windows that to figure out what could be a brattice with a double overture, right? So here is like other type of brattices we made for small towers, for any type of towers. For big towers we made some as well, you know, to protect a door, for example, same mechanism. Here we made some machicolation. So machicolation are like directly on top of walls, and they come like a vertical hole this way on the top of the wall. We've been building here like some with arches and crenels. Here we've been using normal corbels to make them. I like this one. I think the size of this one is almost perfect. Sometimes we have to make them a bit bigger or deeper or larger than they are in reality, because we want also this to be used full for gamer, right? And if you want to launch something heavy, you may want to have some spaces without breaking the wall. So sometime you'll find them a bit big, but it's for this particular use. We want them to be useful during the game as well. So machicolation, here is another system which is a kind of mix, it's a brattice with 4 blocks and windows and 4 overture above here, like at the bottom of it, like you have your 4 overture, and then here, like technically we use them to enlarge a bit the top wall, and you see it's the other level. So technically this is a brattice. Though you'll find them, I mean, if you Google those words, you'll find like many times machicolation being used for brattices. So we can assume that brattices come from Britisca, right? It's meaning like Britain fortification. But brattice is a type of machicolation in reality. So sometime if you Googleize machicolation, you'll find some brattices. But it's technically their name is brattice. In French it's British, and it's coming. All this come from the Latin Britisca. That you guys, we share like a lot of common word coming from the Latin. And here are like some other brattices, simple block, double blocks. Here we made like some machicolation. This one is a bit big, like probably make it too weak. We had to use 1 corbel out of 2. We prefer this one that is 1 corbel and a half. We have to cut the block in 2 pieces, and then that gives us like 4 decent holes to protect our tower and all the dead angles without having to bend over and staying under cover, right? So here, like one side, the other side will get you like, and then with the 4 of them, you cover like a large angle on these towers. Here we go for the main block. So then we made that. We thought, hey, why shouldn't we apply this to a sort of lord house that will stand on a corner of a big fortress as a dungeon, right? A keep. And then we made that, applying all this idea to have like all our walls and towers and stuff protected by machicolation brattices or hoardings, but more like this time like the stone pieces, so machicolation and brattices, trying to explore like the aesthetic effect of it, and we have like these 2 angles that are now of this big tower that are perfectly covered by these 2 different installations, which are really large ones, and machicolation on the side wall, of course, on both of them. Here we've been making as well a brattice at the entrance door for when the attackers will get inside the courtyard and then want to climb here. Then again we have to imagine a door. I didn't put the door yet. And then here, like you see, you can just throw something on top. We had like some fun building something that is not a reproduction this time, so we enjoy the freedom of being totally free of following any map unless the one that we have in our mind. Sometime goes faster, and to be honest, I mean, like the sandbox of Medieval Engineer is really like amazing. You can get like to build like absolutely anything you have in mind, like crazy architectures, and so really it's a fabulous sandbox. So here we have like a very big lord house that can welcome the family, employees, a big stocks, and so in case of siege, to resist in case of siege, big sailing. And so here we access the top wall. We have our brattices set here as well, so you see you can have the same effect. So watch, if you have the game, don't fall down. On some we've been covering with wood, on some other one we've been just letting them like widely open so we can launch like a big stone, but sometime you may fall depending on the way you put yourself, you come closer to it, right? So here is our keep, like let's climb a bit, another brattices at the end of there to protect the other wall, and then let's climb on the terrace just to show you rapidly. So we have two entrances, one is here in the dungeon and the other one is an access to the terrace. Let's go by this way. Okay, here is our big terrace. So this time we didn't install at this level machicolation, and so because we have you remember we have our brattices like downstairs sort of protecting our walls, but from here we can like watch and keep any attackers coming from far away. We'll have to deal with our crossbow and weapons, distant weapons, and here we have like another level with another kernel on this dungeon, and to finally another level that I'm just like showing you from here. So really a decent lord house, not really standard, you know, like enjoying again the free architecture. And as we made like all this, we thought, hey, let's build a fortress. We have the king lord, we have the blocks, we have the concept, so we decided to build like another castle. We couldn't resist, and we made this beautiful, fabulous castle that must be like probably 4 times bigger than, 5 times bigger than Guédelon or Montbrun. It's a very luxury castle. It comes with his own stone bridge as the entrance. Totally luxury that probably took like would have taken 6 to 7 years to be built. And now you know all this mechanism. You're gonna recognize them as far as we goes. Like here we have like our first machicolation. Near the big barbican, we have like a triple barbican sort of, because it's a big, 3 different big defense system for an attacker before he can reach the courtyard. So we didn't build drawbridge again. I know that many of you guys love them. I mean, I love drawbridge. You have to know that. I mean, it's totally magic. It's fabulous, and I mean the pleasure to open it and close it, and so just that, you know, is part of the the castle, right? But as again, architecture seems to tell us that before the 14 drawbridge were not so much in use, and that probably a castle owner preferred to have like how you say that. Normal bridges and sometimes just moat and big doors. We like to explore other way to defend our entrance than drawbridge, and this big stone bridge is a decent way. You even have arches that are not only aesthetic, but you know, if like an attacker will be far away, you can shoot and hide using this arches system. So imagine this door being closed. A good way to give hard time to any attackers to penetrate this castle. Here we have another brattice or machicolation system for the entrance. Here, like same, we thought like attackers will come in and then so happy to have succeed, and not thinking that above their head they still have one big risk at the entrance and inside the courtyard. Here we've been doing a murdering hole, so same, you know, you have to imagine doors at each level. We didn't make them this time. And here we have a murdering hole, which was technically exactly the same principle using gravity, except that the murdering hole are falling inside, you know, indoor. So such installation is also standing on this castle. We have a very big courtyard with flanked tower. We've been using like 2 big tower with luxury hoardings. Again, it's really a big castle. Here we have flanked towers with a little machicolation to protect each door. We had like at this castle We had like stairs everywhere, so the communication between the top wall and the ground level is probably uh, a bit too much, taking in consideration that you would like to prefer, certainly on such fortress, to have only probably three ways to access the wall, and not taking the risk that any attackers coming here can climb absolutely by each tower. But we made machicolation to lower down this risk. And again, this castle is so big, you have to imagine like probably a garnison, or I don't know, like probably 100, minimum 100 soldiers should uh, protect it, because the only the perimeter and the wall should be over 1 kilometer long, you know. So you cannot protect such big installation with only 3 men, right? So at the end over there, you find out our keep. Again, we've been putting some extra decoration on it, and so all the wall feature machicolation. Some of them won't, but they are being covered by the big hoardings here or there, and so they have a bit less. The diagonal walls sometimes have less machicolation. I guess this one should have less as well, but we have these big hoardings that cover this angle. Here we made an hoardings inside. We thought it could be fun to have one that is not on a tower, to show you how it looks like as well. Those ones are already common on top of wall. They are normally being installed to protect the other part of the wall, but on this, in this case, as we have like a machicolation there, we thought let's build like a sort of defense system that can be used for when attackers enter the courtyard and stay under cover and shoot them, but also during peacetime, you know, a sort of watch, a wall where you can watch everything that is happening in the courtyard without being watched, you know, a sort of an efficient way to defend peace and security out of wartime, I mean. Okay, so here we go. What else? Yes, you'll find sometime I'll put like some image in post-production as always. Sometime, and most of the time, hoarding are being set on crenels, okay? For I mean, logical reason, and as well because it's not so easy to go over a crenel on medieval engineer. You cannot like pass over it like if you were in reality. So we always make this way to make them functional. But you have to picture that most of the time hoardings are being set on top of crenel. So here we go, guys. I hope you enjoy the video. And I hope you enjoy the fortress. To be honest, we are pretty satisfied about this fortress, as we love to explore like ways medieval architecture can help us defend buildings in his own engineering. And you know that we don't like to put catapults on top of towers. We've been saying this many times. Sometimes, yeah, they have like they probably have scorpions and big things like this on castle. There are like some writing about this that mention some little engine siege and so to protect castle. But we like to explore ways to have efficiency in protecting a castle during a siege with architecture only, as really like trying to get to the point where the building is the strength and the building will help us. And actually hoarding, brattices and machicolation are key defense mechanism. So we've been happy to do this extra video about them. We hope you guys enjoy this video and got to learn a few things more. Let's hope at least, or at least have some fun discovering the possibility of medieval engineer engine and bring some more realism in your castle if you have the game. And if you don't have the game, I hope like same, you've been enjoying this little time spent in the past to explore like medieval time and castles and all this period of time. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a great day. If you like this video, I mean, give it a like or share it or subscribe to our channel. We still have like some more castles to come. And yeah, enjoy life. Have a great day. And thanks a lot again for watching. Thanks a million. Bye. Cheers, guys. Thanks.